What's up, guys? Today we're looking at the PMP Alpha Beast. Look at these things. I have two examples of this knife right here. This is the first generation right here, made by Riot PMP knives. Look at this thing, Alpha Beast. This one is number 229 out of 280. This is the D2 model, made by Riot in China. Designed in Europe, made in China. Excellent flipping action, excellent flicking action with that thumb stud. And completely drop shut because this is a hulking beast. This is the king of all pocket knives, and it's massive, and I love it. Completely unnecessary, completely over the top, thickness wise, everything. It's just so cool. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about the difference between these knives, because this is the Gen2 second generation Alpha Beast. You see there, Alpha Beast in MagnaCut. The second ones are in MagnaCut. This is 263 out of 300. So the Gen2s were done in MagnaCut, and they were also made in Italy instead of, they were made in Italy by Fox Knives instead of in China by Riot. And I know some people say, you know, same quality, you can't really feel much of a difference between these two. Well, I can feel a difference. I can definitely tell that this one's Riot, and this one, it doesn't feel the same. Sure, the action's good, flicking action's good. It's built pretty solid. It feels, you know, no blade play at all. The lock is solid, but it's not built the same way. You can tell. So I'm going to go over this and highlight some things that I think differ between these two knives. One difference you can tell right off the bat is that the Riot one is hollow ground here on the flats. Sorry, not on the flats. It's hollow ground right here on this on the street part before it turns to the secondary bevel here. See, this part here is flat, it's hollow ground, and this part is flat ground at the front, which I think is really cool because you can still actually cut with this. It has a really nice edge on there, and it actually you can actually slice paper with this, believe it or not. Sure, it's still, you know, you're pushing an entire huge wedge through a piece of paper, but it does actually cut pretty well. You can still slice paper okay with it. It's definitely not ideal, but it can be done. Now this knife is flat ground, and you can't really slice paper super well with it. It will do it, but it doesn't work as well. You can definitely tell that this one slices better. So it's flat ground here and here. There's no hollow, which I think they should have made it hollow ground. I don't know why. I mean, you're paying $800. This one costs way more. This one's $800 for a knife you got rid of the hollow grind on it. This one was cheaper and it had the hollow grind. So I'm thinking, you know, you should put a hollow grind on this. I think they should. But it's flat ground here at the tip and here in the primary edge. And the other thing they did is, if you look here, they changed, let me do it this way, they changed the shape of the tanto a little bit. The secondary grind line here is curved on the Gen 1, and it's not. It's almost straight on the Gen 2. So I thought that was an interesting difference. I personally like the Gen 1 better. I think it looks cooler this way, but you know, just a little slight difference there. Everything else, the centering is pretty much the same. It feels completely solid, just like the Gen 1 did. You know, same blade stock, same thickness everywhere, same pocket clip, same hardware. They didn't really change much there. They did do a different pivot here. You can see where the pivot screws in. They made it a little bit decorative on the Gen 2 so you could tell them apart, which I think is a cool addition. It looks pretty nice. I don't really mind either one. It's not really don't really have a preference between the two, but that is something they changed. The scallops to get to the lock bar are the same, pretty much. They both have lock bar inserts with over travel stops, which is pretty much standard, what you want on a nice tie frame lock. This one feels very refined. It feels like everything's put together really well, and there's no rattling. It all flicks out perfectly. Everything feels solid. The action is beautifully smooth. Flicking detent is perfect for the thumb flick. But this knife, it feels a little bit weird. I'm not sure how I can describe it, but one thing that might have to deal with it is there's lock stick. When you try and disengage the lock bar here, it rubs against the tang of the blade, and you can hear it. It's not very bad lock stick, but you can definitely tell that it's there. So you can feel it grinding slightly on that tang of that blade. And this one isn't as smooth, but I think that's just because it's still breaking in. It's probably newer, so it hasn't had enough time to break in. But I think that's a quality control issue between the, of when Fox Knives made it. Something happened where there's a little bit of lock stick on this one. And, it's not bad. It's just noticeable. And when you're paying $800 for a knife, you don't want there to be these little small inconsistencies and stuff. You want good quality like Riyadh. You want something that you won't find any issues with. No issues at all. Solid lockup, no lock stick, no detent lash. That's the other thing. This knife, when it's closed, there's a little bit of detent lash. Sometimes I can get it to do it. You can feel it. It's a little bit mushy. You see it wiggle in and out a little bit. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, you see it wiggle in and out a little bit. And it's barely noticeable. And I know this is being really picky, but again, this is an $800 knife. You should be able to, not have any detent lash, and you can feel it. You feel that it's not quite the same level. I mean, when you push on the thumb side, it's a little bit mushy before it actually breaks and then fires the blade, which is a bummer, because this one doesn't have that, and this one was much cheaper. This one doesn't. It's very solid. You don't feel any of those issues. There's no perfect flick, perfect detent. As soon as it breaks, there's no mushing. It breaks, it goes open. There's no little mushiness before it breaks and the blade fires out. With this one, it just doesn't feel quite the same. And I don't know if this is a Fox Knives issue when they manufactured it, if it's a thing with them, or I don't know. But it's just some little things that I've noticed that makes me think that the Gen 1s are made better than the Gen 2s. And, maybe this will get better. I know it's not as smooth, but that's because it hasn't broken in. Maybe it'll get smoother over time, I'm sure. And it's completely solid lockup as well. But I prefer the Gen 1s. I think that's what the point of this is. Just because of how solid it is. It feels premium. Everything fits together. There's no small little details like the lock stick and detent lash or whatever, and it just has a better grind for slicing. I know that's not the point of this knife, but it does. I don't know. It feels like something that if you're gonna spend this much money, you might as well put a hollow grind in it just for fun. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter either way. You're not going to use it to cut tons of material anyway. I prefer it to have a hollow grind. Also, I like hollow grinds on thick blades anyway. I think they're kind of cool. I think I prefer hollow grinds to flat grinds sometimes on some knives. Depends on the knife. But these are just my opinions. You guys don't have to agree. And definitely let me know in the comments if you don't. But this one is the black. It has the black PVD coating, I think is this. And somebody did this aftermarket coating over top of this gray finish on the titanium, which I think looks kind of cool. Special kind of version of it. It's kind of nice. So both Alpha Beasts both look really nice. They both function great, actually. I mean, they're both great. It's just I prefer the refined feel of this knife, the Gen 1s. It just feels slightly more refined, slightly better put together. It feels like a beautifully finished product, that a premium finished product. And I love it for that. And I love this one too. It's awesome. It's an Alpha Beast, but it's not quite the same. There's a small little inconsistencies that just, and also something else I like to talk about, the micro bevel on here that they put on the edge, the cutting edge they put on, it's wonky. You can see here it's wider up here than it is down here, and I don't know if I can get it to focus on the blade here, but you can see there it like widens out towards this secondary tip. And then this one's not bad on the edge here isn't bad, but you can see it gets wider there. And on this side, it's kind of like the same thing. You can see it's not consistent. It's skinnier down here, it gets wider up here, that's secondary bevel. And here it even gets wider towards the tip. So it's just a little bit wonky. It doesn't feel, it's not the same. On this one, you can tell everything is consistent. You can see that, let me see if I can get it to focus on that. That edge is perfectly the same. That secondary bevel here, it's perfectly even from one side, one tip to the other. It's perfectly even from the plunge grind here all the way up to this tip, and you can see it on the other side too. The secondary bevel is perfectly even, or very, very close, much better than on the other one. And you can see it's pretty even here too. And that's another, just a factory inconsistency that you see, that I noticed with this one in particular, that's not ground the same way. It's a little bit wonky. Even looks a little bit weird down here too. But anyway, just a little bit of inconsistencies I've seen. Yeah, there on that tip, it's a little bit weird. But a couple things that I noticed when trying out the Gen 2 versus the Gen 1. I've heard the Gen 1. I think it's better. It's a shame that it has D2 steel. That's the only thing I wish it didn't have on here, was the D2. I wish it had something else. But, you know, D2's fine. It's not too bad. As long as it doesn't rust or anything, I'll be okay. And it hasn't really rusted. It's held up pretty well. The stone washing helps with that a lot. I do wish this one was in MagnaCut. That'd be pretty cool. But if the MagnaCut on here kind of, since it doesn't have a hollow grind, the MagnaCut isn't able to be used as much. I think anyway, because if you had a hollow grind, you'd be able to slice easier with it, and so the MagnaCut would be even better on it. I mean, you know, with something like this, who really cares? But still, it's kind of cool to have it anyway. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. Both have pretty solid action, you know. Both have completely solid lockup, no blade play at all. Completely solid. Both are drop shut. You see there? Both are perfectly centered as well. I mean, they're both built very well. It's just this one is built slightly better, I think, from what I can tell. So that's my my thoughts on these two Alpha Beasts. I recommend trying them out. I don't recommend paying $800 for the one made in Italy, the Gen 2s. I would recommend, if you're going to, try out the Gen 1s with the Riot build. Really, Riot does the best job. They really do a really good job of bringing the quality and the premium feel. It's that premium Riot feel that you don't get with this. It feels really good, and I love it. So definitely highly recommend getting one of these, and definitely worth checking out. So one of my favorite knives in my collection. This thing is awesome. He's the king of my whole folding knife collection because he's a beast, and I love it. That's why it's the Alpha Beast. It's great, and I love it. It's an awesome knife. So that's all for this video. Let me know what you guys think. If my thoughts don't make any sense, let me know what you guys, you know, if you guys have differing opinions, let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you have an Alpha Beast or if you've tried one before. What were your thoughts? That's it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day. Bye.